Well, the Hoosiers take care of the Golden Gophers last night in what was kind of a slog of a game, and we'll get into talking about the quarterback matchup and everything involved in the IU Notre Dame matchup. Let's get into it.
Pretty simple. I win.
Tucker, 3 on the way.
So these two gals, they're walking up to this bridge together, Dolores and Jill, and Dolores says to Jill, you know, I've always wanted to pee off of this bridge, just like a man does. So Jill said, well, go ahead and do it. Turn around, pull down your pants, and pee off of there just like a man. So she turns around, pulls down her pants like this, squats out, pees off the bridge like that. And she looks down and she says, Dolores, I'm peeing on a canoe. And she says, no, Jill, that's just your reflection. You like that one?
Yeah, you might want to get that coffee off of your lip.
Number 2, I make the decisions here, okay? I demand a little respect.
You don't like it? It's how we drink it in Belgium. It's called a Belgium dip. You wouldn't know that because you're just a hillbilly monkey.
Silence! I will not tolerate your insolence.
But then again, so am I. Hello, guys, and thank you once again for joining me on Indiana Sports Connection. I am your residential anchor, Aaron. Thank you so much for being here and being part of this Indiana Hoosiers community on here. And we have a lot to talk about today. This is one of the greatest times of year. We got the big game with IU, and we got the basketball team that played last night. So we're going to talk about the basketball game first. Then we'll talk about the football game at the end. And there's going to be a lot more stuff coming out about the football team because I'm doing some research now, but we're just preliminarily going to get into talking about the matchup with Rourke and Leonard and just what they do well at the end of this. So, and that joke was brought to you by Bob Einstein, the great Super Dave Osborne. Look him up, one of the greatest comedy legends of all time. But this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button down below. Thank you for being here and being part of this Indiana Hoosiers community, Indiana Sports Connection. This is the rawest Indiana Hoosiers channel you are ever going to come across. Nobody controls me. This is just genuine thoughts on everything, and sometimes it gets heated. It's a myriad of emotions, and I'm not even sure if I use that word right, so I'm going to have to look it up later, but we're non-judgmental here. Join the comment section down below, the Connection Clan. Leave your comments. We have some great conversations going on now about basketball, about football. That is what brings me so much joy of doing this channel. Reading your comments, you have no idea how your comments influence what I think. There are so many people out there with great points of view, and you know, I'm only one man. I only see out of two eyes, and we all do. So just reading what everybody has to say about the teams, it brings a lot of joy to my heart. The channel is brought to you by BetUS. Hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button down below, and all of the AdSense revenue on this channel from now until December 25th going to T2T.org, Tunnel 2 Towers. I'm going to make a donation to the veterans. Without the veterans, we are nothing. So now that we got all of that stuff out of the way, you subscribed, you hit that thumbs up button. Now let's get into talking about the Indiana Hoosiers. All right, so the game last night, and I'm just going to tell you what I really midway through this game, and I'm not trying to bash on the team or Minnesota or anything, but it was boring. I mean, it was a boring game to watch. I rarely do I watch a basketball game that just kind of has no personality, but Indiana was just being able to throw like lollipop passes down low to Ballo. And hey, I do want to talk good of Ballo. I saw him sprinting out there. That is a revelation, my friend. I mean, he was sprinting at least maybe like 4 times that I can count. He sprinted dead down the middle of the floor. Now, one time he sprinted dead down the middle of the floor, and Miles Rice was right behind him, and he kind of got in the way. He is a big body dude. But seeing more effort, and he dove for a ball, even though I think he dove for that ball so that he could take a rest for a few minutes, but that is yet to be seen. Ballo was getting after it, and I mean, he killed it. I'm not going to go over all the stats. I think he had like 18 and 10 some. He's been killing it in some of these games. The guard play is still like Galloway. For a guy that's been playing basketball for 5 years, sometimes I'm like he made a pass to Renew. I have written down in my notes. There was like, it was such a flat pass. It was like in between. Well, if you throw a pass in between a bounce pass and a chest pass, you throw it right at their feet is what you do. It's like there's some kind of indecision, but he's throwing that pass to Renew. I mean, you've been playing with this guy for 3 years now, right? So I'm kind of like not seeing where like there's no continuity with him, or I just don't know what's going on with Galloway. He is having like ups and downs. Maybe he's got to stay out of the casino. Maybe he's got to, but I mean, Galloway plays hard, but sometimes you see like Miles Rice playing hard. He got challenged at the rim actually a few times, although he didn't have a bunch of turnovers in this game. I think Miles Rice needs to work on some moves. I would like to see him have like a reverse dribble. I maybe have seen him try to do different moves, but besides just being like a straight line driver, he had a great behind the back pass that was really nifty and like right on the spot. That was one of the great sequences of that game. But just one that comes to mind right there. I think this guy needs to develop, and I don't know if that's going to happen here. Like for guards, I don't see guards. I mean, remember CJ Gunn? Like never developed. How much different? I just don't know. I just don't know the answers. I'm dumbfounded by some of these things when I watch some of these guards play. I do want to mention this. Carlisle was on the floor by himself and he was the main man, like bringing the ball up the court. That was good to see. I think Mike Woodson maybe recognized something there. Like Carlisle was the main guy at Stanford. So if you're the main man somewhere, how hard is it to be like a complimentary player the next year? Probably a lot harder than you think. I mean, we're creatures of habit. If you played on one team and everybody was looking to you to shoot and score and do all these things, it's hard to walk into another team and then take a totally different role unless you just were totally open to wanting to agree to that. But we just don't know all of those details. But it was good to see Carlisle actually, although sometimes he made a couple of doozies out there too. They all do. They all have their times. They all kind of have their ups and downs and their rounds and rounds. But the player of the game, Johnny on the spot, Bryson Tucker was the guy that really, he cuts and he moves in ways that other guys out there don't. And so that's where he is able to kind of see where his opportunity lies on this team more than some of the other players. And he just does what's necessary. Bryson Tucker can create his shot off the dribble and get to the rim and do some things. And he's long and lanky, and he can do a lot of things that Mbako just cannot do. While Mbako can shoot and he's got a beautiful shot and he's got a beautiful stroke, he cannot. He struggles taking people off the dribble. And Mbako needs to work on his footwork a lot. That's where I think his most improvement is. If you notice when he drives the ball, sometimes he, like how he moves his feet first, he needs to like take a first step with your right foot. I've noticed just some very small things in the footwork of him that if he just really worked on some subtle things and got more detail oriented on that, he would be able to take it to the next level. And you know what? That's what it's all about. If he wants to be a professional, amateurs practice till they get it right. Professionals practice till they never get it wrong. Okay, that's the greatest saying ever. But overall, I mean, Minnesota just with Garcia, and then I did not mention this, and I did not look this up, that Mike Mitchell's had that high ankle sprain, because he did look like a shell of himself. Even late in the game, I kind of felt bad for the guy standing at the foul line. You could just tell he's like, all right, I got a couple of minutes here to rest this high ankle sprain, because those high ankle sprains are actually fractures up top. So they are so painful to play through. I mean, you remember like Mahomes playing with the one in the Super Bowl. That definitely changed their team. He could not really push the ball at all. But Indiana has dominated Minnesota. They are the worst team in the Big Ten. So we're going to transition into talking about the football team because Hillbilly Monkey bring up Notre Dame. Who all did they beat this year? Here it is. There it is. Notre Dame. They have played, and most of these I watched a lot of. The Texas A&M game, I mean, I watched from beginning to end. I mean, I am one of those people that roots for Notre Dame after I root for IU. After I root for IU. I have the reversible jacket on, but I do have some Notre Dame apparel. My in-laws and my wife is from South Bend, so gonna be a heated rivalry here at the Webeking house, and the Ludwig house over there in South Bend. So it's gonna be a heated rivalry this week. But the few games I really want to look at, Louisville scored 24 points on Notre Dame. Notre Dame's defense is stout, and that is where Will Notre Dame be able to get after Curtis Rourke? That is main question that's going through my mind. It's going to be a little bit less. The volume of Notre Dame Stadium is going to be less than it was at Ohio State. And then the overall crowd, although Notre Dame students are getting tickets for $35 for this game. I saw that on the news this morning. But we all know Notre Dame student section, it's nothing compared to the drunkenness that goes on in the Indiana student section. Come on! We all know that the Indiana student section is wild. It's wild, and it's always has been. Let's take a look at Indiana's defense here. Points per game, Indiana 14.7. That's how they finished the season, ranked 6th. Total yards, 244.8. 174 pass yards. That goes for 9th for Indiana. Number 1 rush defense. That's going to be huge. And there's also Love for Notre Dame may be out for this game. That might be a developing story, a developing thing to be watching out for. And then 34 sacks for Indiana, tied for 22nd. They're going to have to get some pressure on Riley Leonard in this game. And they're going to have to stuff Notre Dame's running game. I will tell you this, from watching a lot of Notre Dame this year, here's what frustrated me about watching them the most. They would not run the ball at times. They get pass happy. Would they do that in this game? I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. But there are times when I thought, especially when Notre Dame was playing some weaker teams, that they were way overmatched. Northern Illinois, by the way. Why did you not run the ball against Northern Illinois? How can you not line it up and be like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to run the ball 4 times against Northern Illinois. This is a rant that I already had in my head earlier this year while I was watching that Northern Illinois game. So it's coming out right now. That's where Notre Dame, that their weakness is, I think, in their coaching, maybe getting a little bit pass happy. I hope it snows a crap load for this game. Curtis Rourke was the finest thrower I have ever seen. And he's from Canada. Okay?
You're hidden! Sorry!
Curtis Rourke from Canada. Leonard Skinnerd, my friends. Riley Leonard, yeah, he went to Fairhope High School in Alabama, and he was born in South Carolina. So there you go. You don't want to put too much into this, but if that lake effect snow comes rolling in there, it does affect you, you know? I mean, people that live in the South, they are soft. Let's just face it. My whole family lives in Florida, and they're all soft. They come up here for a day. If they are in cold weather, they are soft, you know? I'm like a grizzly bear. I'm built for this. I've been eating twigs and berries since September. I'm ready for like 3 months of hibernation and just watching basketball. But these Southerners, they can't take it. They can't take the cold. They're born as something you're either a Nordic beast like Curtis Rourke, or now Curtis Rourke, he moved to Alabama when he was a young kid. I believe when he was like 12 or 13, he moved to Alabama to be recruited. So, but Curtis Rourke, he's got that Canadian blood. It's just something to keep an eye on. But that does it for me today. I will be making some videos. I'm working on some videos about Notre Dame and looking at more statistics and on Notre Dame and the defensive matchup, what they're going to have in this game. It's got that feeling. This game has that feeling like Friday Night Lights almost. It is like an in-state Friday night standalone game, 8 o'clock on ABC Indiana has not played Notre Dame since 1991, and that's like the only time Indiana's played Notre Dame. So this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Notre Dame, for Indiana, and for all of us to watch this great game coming up. I see people saying, Notre Dame, they're going to destroy Indiana. I'll just give you this last take. Notre Dame has better players. Notre Dame has better pedigree type players. They got more All-Americans. They got more in-state champions. They have more everything. But I think Indiana plays better as a unit. What Indiana does as a unit, can they raise that level up to playing with these guys that are higher profile players that came out of high school? Just because those are the kinds of players Notre Dame gets. Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State, and the Midwest, they get those guys. We don't. So that's going to be the challenge. Can we as a unit play up to this challenge to playing with Notre Dame and playing like above where we are and get it done? Curt Cignetti, he's definitely a guy who has a lot of faith in his team and has a lot of faith in his guys. I am so looking forward to it. Thank you so much for joining me today on Indiana Sports Connection. Until next time, stay classy. I almost forgot something. Hillbilly Monkey. So I know you wanted to talk about
Carved from the sands of the Wabash River and formed into a monkey lamp that's sold at Home Goods. It's the Hillbilly Monkey Perspective on Indiana Sports Connection. Yeah, I wanted to talk about Bryson Tucker. This guy, he was killing it out there on the basketball team. Tons of people are bitching. They say that, oh, he needs to be in the starting lineup. Whoa, hold your horses. Take this guy. He's a freshman. Let him get his feet wet. He had an inconsistent game in the last game. Don't put all this pressure on this guy. Let him come off the bench. Let him do his thing. I love this guy. I love to watch him play. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and he might be the guy. Him and Luke Goody, these are the guys that are going to actually make this team go. Him coming off the bench, I love to see this Bryson Tucker. He's doing a fantastic job so far.
He is doing a fantastic job. And it's tough. You come in as a McDonald's All-American, a lot of pressure on you, and Bryson Tucker, he's definitely lived up to it. So now, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Indiana Sports Connection. Until next time, stay classy out there, Hoosier fans.